Andrew, we're back again with more wrestling news, aren't we? What a Thursday.
What a jam-packed Thursday, Sam. We've got news coming out the wazoo, as they say.
How's the weather looking? It's been a bit crazy recently. It's been a bit rainy and wet. It's been a bit snowy. It's been a bit sunny. And I'm wondering if we're going to have to send you out there to somehow block your own light.
Maybe.
In a second.
Can I
don't know how we'll do it.
Yeah, clone myself and I'll go out there, like, what's it called? Mitosis, where you're like, whoa, spread out.
Just quickly split all your cells and you'll be fine.
Yeah, we can do that. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, headlines. We have an update on Backstage reactions to Daniel Bryan's contract expiring. Tony Khan shoots on WWE's booking. And Drew McIntyre discusses a storyline that he wishes WWE had given more time to. Find out what it is in a bit. So we're kicking things off with some reports coming from Fightful Select surrounding Daniel Bryan's contract expiration, the backstage reaction, things like that. But according to several WWE sources close to Fightful Select, Bryan apparently didn't even make a big deal about his contract expiring, and most people only heard about it through the grapevine rather than from Bryan himself. Apparently, sources in Ring of Honor have expected the company to make an approach to him to make an appearance at the very least, and that Ring of Honor has contact with Bryan. They've had contact with him to some degree in recent years. So it's starting to...
The speculation is running wild, Sam.
Apparently, two AEW talents that Fightful spoke to believe that he will stay with WWE, with one verbally stating that they've heard as much to be a fact. And this, obviously, is yet to be confirmed or denied. You know, we're not going to find out until Bryan actually makes his next move. But apparently WWE are pushing very hard to re-sign Bryan to a new deal. But the wrestler's made it known in the past, of course, as we've been reporting fairly recently, that he does have desire to work elsewhere before his time in the ring comes to a close. What do you make of it all, Andrew?
That's true. Like, as much as I like the excitement of wondering where he could go next, either like Ring of Honor or AEW, maybe even New Japan or something like that, like, I would like to see him stay in WWE. I think he's one of the best things about the product at the moment. He makes me want to watch wrestling, WWE, should I say, at least. And I think that if he maybe steps back from wrestling and just goes fully into like the creative role, I think we'll see a lot more underutilized wrestlers get a big push. And I think that is something that WWE needs to do, is just start building new big stars for the future. Yeah. And I think he'd absolutely do a lot of people justice.
I can see both sides. Like, as you say, there's so much still that I believe he could give to the company and to the talent of WWE, even if he does transfer to a more part-time backstage position. But at the same time, part of me still kind of hoping that we're at the very least, just going to see a sort of micro world tour of sorts with Bryan just popping up all over the shop before returning home. He's going to rock up on Raw, isn't he?
Oh, please don't. No, let's not throwing tomatoes at people. Fantastic booking. Please don't do that.
So speaking of Raw, there's apparently some big plans in the works surrounding a Raw tag team. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it, Andrew?
So, let me tell you something, Sam. So, according to PW Insider, the new RK Bro team of Randy Orton and Matt Riddle, well, they're apparently in for a significant push, and they're not viewed as a short-term team. The site notes that a tag team title match with AJ Styles and Omos is likely somewhere down the line, and they will be releasing some RK Bro merch very shortly, some sneaky bifters. I don't know.
I was kind of sat there going, well, if they're doing merchandise, they might make it happen. But they've done it before in the past where they've released a shirt and then broken a team straight up. But WWE, for a company that kind of drops the ball when it comes to tag wrestling quite a lot, they seem to love putting people together and making teams.
Yes.
So I don't know even quite what to make of it, but it should be at least to some degree fun. And to see Randy doing something a little bit out of the usual Randy Orton box, I think it's always quite entertaining as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that. I think I like that it seems as though Riddle is just trying to make Randy corpse like every single time when they get in the ring together. And I like that a lot. I think they've got a good dynamic. And I think Riddle is a good tag team wrestler too. Like when he teamed with Pete Dunne and stuff in NXT, I thought those two worked really well. Like, I think he's at his best when he's got someone in there to sort of like riff off and stuff, and I always think that's really cool. As for what that might mean for AJ Styles and Omos, though, like, I don't know if they're just gonna let them lose the belts, like, quite soon.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing, and then what's gonna happen there? Are they just gonna break up another team, like you were saying again? Like, who really knows? But maybe they'll have, like, a prolonged feud or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm down for RK Bro. I quite like him.
Yeah. Just to circle back around to the point of WWE's booking there, talking to Entrepreneur.com, Tony Khan was less than complimentary about the current state of WWE's booking. And speaking about the differences between the two companies, Khan said, there are a lot of differences. I don't really do cheap DQ finishes to prolong something. There are other wrestling programs where you might see multiple DQs and countouts in a week. I believe in giving the fans a finish to the match. I believe in not false advertising programs and people. I might hype something I really believe in, but there's a big difference between hyping something and false advertising outright, and I have never done the latter. I think that's why we have a lot of goodwill with the audience. He continued by talking about following through with things that you promised the audience and trying to do things in service of what the fans want to see, adding, not doing the same the same matches 17 weeks in a row over and over again.
Shooting on WWE. He's got a good point, though. I'm not going to lie. There's been multiple times, especially on Raw as well, where we see either someone come in and interfere in a match, we see roll-ups, we see DQs, we see all that literally constantly. Sometimes you can go for weeks at a time thinking, I've just watched the same. I'm sure I watched that last week.
Yeah,
because it's
but didn't we see this 2 weeks ago? Was
exactly.
Hang on. Did that not finish that way as well? Yeah, that kind of thing. It's the one thing, he is right though, you do need that varied, offering across the board. You need to, it's similar to something, it echoes sentiments of New Japan's new president who, he said, we need to be doing things for the fans. Like it's the fans and the talent that make the industry, and promotions really are a bit less important when it comes to, the ranking of it. And so if the fans want to see something, you should endeavor to do that. And I think we've all wanted to see something change a little bit up at Titan Towers for quite some time now.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So we'll see if this gives Vince a kick up his bum, but it might not. But we'll see what happens there.
Next up, Santana and Ortiz from AEW were speaking to TSN, and they were asked which teams outside of AEW they would like to face. They had a couple of interesting responses as well. Ortiz mentioned the Motor City Machine Guns, who were most recently spotted performing with Impact Wrestling, who of course AEW are kind of in a little bit of a working relationship with. And Santana singled out Ring of Honor's The Briscoe Brothers as his preferred opponents. Such a hard-hitting match between those two teams. It would be pretty interesting one to see. But the Forbidden Door is open. Will Ring of Honor enter the arena?
I mean, we'll see. That would be another huge thing. I think that would also give WWE a kick up the backside, as mentioned before, to start hopefully getting the ball rolling on kind of making their own little relationships and stuff. But I would love to see the Briscoes versus Santana and Ortiz and stuff. That would be amazing.
This is the only thing, is that for me, and it's just my opinion, my little head. Well, it's not little, my head is huge. But my opinion on this, it's weird. I just kind of feel like if Ring of Honor was to walk through the Forbidden Door, then they kind of accept defeat. Because AEW is, bigger than Ring of Honor. It's in with that whole, independent fan base that Ring of Honor for a long time tended to. And now Ring of Honor's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. Maybe they're just waiting to see how the Impact relationship plays out and if there is some benefit to it. Maybe they've all agreed to work together anyway in secret and they're just drip feeding it, and in 3 years' time it's going to be revealed WWE were in on it all along and that UFC is now invading or something crazy. But, I don't know. There's something with me that it just feels like maybe Ring of Honor might not ever make that step through the door, but I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. So just to circle back to what we were talking about in the first video surrounding the weird reaction to the final moments of the AEW Blood and Guts match last night, something that happened a little bit earlier in the show is also drawing a little bit of criticism from one person in particular. Now, what exactly happened? Well, Kenny Omega came out But it's not quite that simple. Of course, it's not quite that simple. During his entrance, Kenny came down. He came out earlier in the show, but he came down with the AEW title around his waist. And then next to him, carrying the Impact and AAA Mega Championship, the Impact World title and the AAA Mega Championship, was Michael Nakazawa, holding those two belts. And this really, really seems to have stuck in the craw, as I said, of Bully Ray. He tweeted, "If I'm management or the owners of Impact Wrestling, I'd be effing fuming that their World Heavyweight Championship was being carried out by Naka Nobody and not at least over the shoulder of Omega. Perception is reality." Now, while Bully Ray is a former Impact World Champion, it does seem a little bit of a strange criticism, but at the same time, there is a bit of traditional sensibilities to go along with it. The idea that, if you are a champion, you're the one that carries the belt. You should be proud of your achievement. You should be the one out there toting your prowess across these multiple brands. And really, the only other person who should be kind of allowed to touch it's a referee when he's holding it up when you defend it, and your manager if you have one. But yeah, Nakazawa holding it seems to have really just got to him a little bit. What do you think of it?
I think really, if anything, it's just Kenny Omega being a heel. Just get that heat. Just like, how I view it is he sees the AEW World Championship as the one that he like loves the most. And then all these other belts that he's just like picking up because he's like, claiming to be amazing and stuff. Like they're just like, residual little trophies and stuff. That's fine. I got this, I got that. And he just like passes it off. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that he is just this arrogant person, because when his downfall comes, it's going to make like the person when somebody wins that belt, like it's gonna mean so much more when they get that belt of Kenny Omega. So like I don't really know. I get why Bully Ray is annoyed with it, but at the same time, I think it's going to add more stock to the belt down the line anyway. So
yeah, and I think, if it is something that he's going to get in any trouble for, I'd imagine that it's going to be quite minimal, because, this sort of thing, it'll just not happen again if it does cause a problem. Or, you might see him come out and Impact with the Impact belt around his waist and the AEW, but, I think personally it's probably just all going to blow over. So this one's a bit of a weird one, Andrew, for a Thursday morning, but Yahoo Japan are reporting that deathmatch legend Atsushi Onita has announced he will be presiding over the return of the beloved Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling brand, except it's getting a little bit of a rename. It's getting an E slapped onto the end of it. And what does the E stand for?
The E stands for, Sam, let me tell you what the E stands for. Oh my goodness gracious me. Explosions!
Boom! Oh, man. So the translation's a little bit ropey, but from what we can gather, Onita has said that other promotions are showing that demand is there for electrified, exploding matches across the globe. Probably, following AEW and his invite to actually be there. And he wants to. That's it. He wants to do it. They're aiming for global distribution with their first event and first exploding match back, taking place on July 4th, a day synonymous with fireworks in the USA, so it seems to have been picked deliberately. He wants a new generation to feel the power of FMW, and he wants to return to its roots. The press announcement was slated to go live on his YouTube channel at 11 a.m. UK time, but it just didn't before we got in, so I guess we'll try and check it out later. If there's any more news to report on it, we will. And finally, Drew McIntyre recently appeared on Busted Open Radio, and he brought up a story that he wishes WWE gave more time to, and that story was his feud with Sheamus from the back end of 2020. What did he say, Andrew?
So he said, "I've known Sheamus forever. He's my oldest friend in wrestling. We got signed together, came to America together, ended up in FCW together, and we're still chasing the dream. Finally, after 20 years, we got a chance to put our story on television. We wish we had more time to tell the story that we would have liked to tell, but things moved so fast and we got the opportunity to tell it anyway, and we were grateful for that." So that's nice, but I agree. Nice. Yeah. I agree with that. I think with all the history that those two guys have had together, I think it did deserve a little bit more time on TV,
Yeah, absolutely. But speaking on the point of the match they had, and on Sheamus himself as a competitor, he touched on it. He said, before the pay-per-view match, they played a video detailing our history. Both of us saw it, and it was pretty emotional. We beat the living hell out of each other, said sorry afterwards, laughed about it, and were excited to do something better again. But apparently Sheamus almost knocked him out straight at the bell. Straight at the bell. Apparently, he said, right at the beginning of our last pay-per-view match, he punches me and catches me in the side of the head. I almost lost my legs for a second, started seeing black spots. I caught my feet, looked up, and under my breath said, "You almost knocked me out, you son of a bee." It fired me up. I love it. He loves it. It's the way we wrestle. And they were some pretty hard-hitting affairs, those matures.
My goodness.
It would have been nice, though, wouldn't it, to have had that go on a little bit longer. But it's just the way the machine works, isn't it?
It is. That's true. But again, with them having so much history and just knowing each other, like in between the ropes and stuff, like that would have made for such a compelling storyline and so many more like hard-hitting matches like that as well. Like, would we legitimately have seen someone get knocked out? Probably.
Well, you almost did.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. Maybe they'll come back around to that eventually, and we'll get like a big. It would be nice for WWE to do like long-term storytelling.
Yeah.
And that would have been one that would have made the most sense to me.
Well, I guess the history's always going to be there, isn't it? So there's always a way to circle back and bring the feud, to its starting position again. Yeah. So maybe one day. But I guess that's it for your second dose of daily wrestling news from myself and Andrew. Is there anything you'd like to add, Andrew?
I would like to add that Sam will be on Twitch tonight, 6 p.m, doing all his lovely Twitch things. Whatever he decides to do, whether he's riding his little Trotters Independent Traders van down some stairs or doing something else. I'm very excited.
Some people have never seen my streams. They're just going to be like, what?
Sorry, what? Yeah.